it's Laurie. Thanks for stopping by and let's go make something. I'm starting my first project by using 3 long signs from the Dollar Tree. I had these left over, and if you don't have any of these on hand, you can always use some pieces of wood. I'm going to be using the back of the sign, and I'm cutting off the end with the staples, and then I'm cutting each sign in half. I'm only using 5 pieces, and the sides with the stickers, they peeled right off, so I just removed those, and I'm going to be giving all of them a coat of white acrylic paint. I set those pieces aside to dry, and now I'm taking 2 of the Dollar Tree plungers. I'm going to use these as my supports. It was easy. I just screwed off the ends, and then I removed the sticky labels. And then taking my dark gray acrylic paint, I gave both of them a coat. For my flower holders, I'm using 3 of the wooden Dollar Tree crates, and each of those is also getting a coat of white acrylic paint. When I was done and the paint was dry, you can see there are 3 distinct lines on the front of the crate. So using the same dark gray acrylic paint, I just gave each of them a middle stripe. With everything painted and dry, it's now time to put the shelf together. I have my 2 gray supports, my 3 striped boxes, and my 5 white planks. Attaching all my pieces together, I'm using some E6000. Using my tape measure, I'm measuring in 1 inch from the side, and I'm marking it with my pencil. I'm applying a generous amount of E6000 on the non-striped side of my box, and then I'm placing the end on the 1 inch mark that I just made. I'm having 2 boxes hang on the left of my shelf and 1 on the right, so I'm just following the exact same instructions for my next 2. I gave the boxes a chance to set up, and now I'm attaching them to the supports. I have them spaced 14 inches apart, and once again I'm using my E6000 and I'm applying some to the bottom of each support. Then I'm attaching the plank, centering my box over the support, and placing the bottom edge just over it. I'm doing the exact same thing on the top. I'm adding some E6000, I'm centering the box on the support, and I'm placing the top edge of the plank just over the 2 ends. This time I'm centering my middle plank on the 2 supports. I'm adding my E6000 to hold it in place and making sure that the right box is centered on the support just like the 2 left ones. To attach my last 2 planks, I'm placing some E6000 on the support, then centering each between the top and the middle and the bottom planks. This step is completely optional. I just wanted my edges to be defined, and I love using this technique. I'm just taking my pencil and I'm running it along the edge, and then I'm just smoothing it out with my finger. I have my kitty Emmeline helping me out, and I did the same technique on all 5 planks, and I like the way it leaves a little bit of a smoky edge. When I was done, I added some succulents and greenery, and with that, my hanging wall display is complete. Today I'm participating in the Friend Friday Hop hosted by Heidi from Heidi Sombel DIY. She has an amazing channel and I'll be linking that below. The Friend Friday Hop is so much fun. It's a bunch of friends coming together, and I'll be linking the next surprise channel in the hop below in my description, so make sure you hop on over and check them out. For my second project, I'm using this chunk of wood. It was chopped and destined for the wood stove. I really liked the shape and the color, so I decided to turn it into my next project. I want to raise it up a bit, so I'm using 6 of the tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree. I'm gluing 2 sets of 2 together using my STARBOND Quick Set Glue. I'll have the company link below in case you'd like to check it out. And I'm just using it to attach 2 blocks together, so I'll have 2 sets of 2. My pieces have set up and I really want them to match the block of wood, so I'm using a wet tea bag and I'm rubbing it over the blocks until I get a nice golden color. Now that they're dry, to balance off my wood so that I have a flat top, I'm using my glue gun and attaching the 2 double blocks in the front and the 2 single blocks in the back. For the base on the top, I'm using some of this reindeer moss from the Dollar Tree. I placed some hot glue on the top and then I just randomly added the moss. To embellish it, I'm using some things that I had on hand. I had some of this ivy and I'm just adding some hot glue and attaching the ivy to the top and letting it cascade over the side. As my focal point, I'm using 3 of these pretty succulents from the Dollar Tree and I'm removing the stems. And now I'm hot gluing the 3 of them onto the top. To fill in some of the open spaces, I'm using some of the leaves from this Dollar Tree amaranthus. And once again, I started hot gluing the pieces here and there to fill out the arrangement. To give my block an accent, I'm using some Dollar Tree jute. I'm wrapping it around the back to get my length and I'm gathering 4 strands. I then wrap it around the block, I tie it into a knot and I cut the open loops. I used a dot of hot glue to hold the jute in place, and with that, my succulent tree centerpiece is complete. For my third project, I'm using an 8x10 Dollar Tree frame along with 6 wooden skewers. I removed the frame's insert and glass along with the little metal holders. I'm placing one of my skewers lengthwise on the back of the frame and I'm clipping it to size. When I was done, I clipped 2 more the same size. Then I did the exact same thing, but this time I measured it widthwise, and then I clipped 2 more. Using my hot glue gun, I'm attaching 3 skewers together. After I added the glue to the sides, I then added a little on the top to help keep them all attached. Then I did the exact same thing to my second set. With all my pieces put together, I'm now giving them a coat of white acrylic paint. With all my pieces dry, I'm using my ruler and I'm measuring my center point on the longest side. I'm finding my placement with my middle support and then I'm hot gluing it into place. And then again, I use my ruler to measure my top center. And then I hot glue the ends and the middle for that piece as well. With all my pieces glued into place, I'm using the same shading technique as I did in my first project. I'm once again using my pencil and just kind of randomly rubbing it against the side of the frame. And when I'm done, I take my finger and I just kind of blend it in. This step is completely optional. If you prefer to leave it all white, that will look great too. When I'm done, I'm using some of this leftover ivy that I had on hand, and I'm going to accent the side of my frame. I'm hot gluing it on the top and then letting it cascade down on the side. And then I'm just continuing on and adding more ivy. I'm using ivy for this project, but you can use any greenery that you have on hand. I'm using some of these leaves that were on my amaranthus, and I'm just kind of hot gluing them here and there to fill out the ivy. The focal point of my window are these cute little cotton flower pods that I found at the Dollar Tree. And once again, using my glue gun, I'm placing on some hot glue and I'm adding them in between my ivy. For my bow, I'm using this pretty buffalo check ribbon that I got at Michael's, and you'll also need a piece of floral wire. I decided about how long I wanted my tail, and then I made myself a loopy bow. When I was done, I used my floral wire to attach it all together. I wrapped the wires around the window frame, and then I hot glued it into place. When I was done, I hot glued on a few more pieces of ivy, and with that, my farmhouse window is complete. For my fourth project, I'm recycling an old candle jar. I cleaned it out and I removed all the wax. I'll also be using one of these little glass bowls. They sell them as a 4-pack and you can find them in the kitchen department at the Dollar Tree. I'm attaching them together with my E6000, and all I'm doing is placing the little bowl upside down, adding some E6000 and then placing my jar right on top. I let it set up overnight, and now I'm using this painter's tape to tape off the sides. I placed a slice of tape on the side of my vase, and then I attached it from top to bottom. I added another piece directly across from my first, and this will allow me to keep my spacing. When I was done, I followed the exact same instructions, and I attached 2 more pieces directly across from each other. I'm using some gray and white acrylic paint, and I'm going to turn them into chalk paint using some baking soda. I'm mixing about a tablespoon of paint with about 3/4 of a tablespoon of baking soda. Then I just mixed them both together. After I mixed my gray, I then mixed my white. When I was done, I painted 2 sections on my vase gray, and then I painted 2 sections white. I made sure to let my paint dry completely, and then I peeled off the painter's tape. There was a little paint here and there that had kind of snuck under the tape, but I just scratched it off with my finger. I then baked my vase in the oven at 200 degrees for 30 minutes. I'm adding a jute accent around the top, so I'm starting with a little dab of hot glue. I'm placing in my jute, and then I'm just wrapping it completely around the top of my vase. When I'm done, I'm adding another dot of hot glue to secure the end in place. I'm using these 4 wooden beads as an accent. I attached them on a long strand of jute, and I tied them around the neck of my vase. I added in some flowers, and with that, my project is complete. For my fifth project, I'm starting out with these 2 wooden crates from the Dollar Tree and 4 wooden beads. I'm attaching both sides together using my STARBOND glue. Then, using the same glue, I'm attaching a bead in each of the corners. The glue sets up really quickly, and now it's ready for a coat of white acrylic paint. With my paint dry, I'm adding a coat of gray paint to accent the outside edge. As an accent on the top of my display shelf, I found this cute little sign at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to paint the outside edges with the same matching gray paint. When I'm done, I'm using some of the buffalo check ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I'm giving each of them an accent. I'm using some Dollar Tree dice to spell out the word farm, and when I don't have them on display, this makes the perfect holder for them. When I'm done, I'm then using my glue gun to attach the 2 pieces together. To make my farm dice, I'm using 4 of the foam dice from the Dollar Tree. I've painted them white, and using these poster letters from the Dollar Tree, I'm spelling out the word farm. Using the same buffalo check ribbon, I added a simple accent by wrapping a piece of ribbon around the center of each of them. To finish up, I'm adding my farm dice into the display case, and with that, this project is complete. Thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you had fun making these projects with me. Don't forget to check out the surprise friend below in the hop. If you're new and you haven't yet subscribed and you're thinking, hey, I'd like to come back and hang out with her again, don't forget to click that little red subscribe button below. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye, everybody.